Hello, and welcome to episode 1 of deValiante Reads Highway Blossoms by Studio Elon. This kinetic novel was part of Humble Bundle's bundle for racial justice and equality. It also contains strong language, sexual themes, and deals with loss and grieving. If you're not in the headspace to handle these topics, please consider skipping this video. Now, without further ado, let's get started.
The music ends. The cassette clicks to a stop. I've listened to it so many times I've even memorized the placement of the static from the song's original broadcast. I'm worried the deck might even eat the tape, but it never happened to him no matter how many times he played the damn thing, so I'm not too scared. It used to drive me crazy. Every day he played it over and over again. Sure, he would throw on something different after a few loops, but soon enough he'd switch back and the cycle would repeat itself. Sometimes I think he would do it just to mess with me. I would be in the back in bed, smothering a pillow over my head to block out the music. He would just turn it up louder, even during all-nighters. That was so like him. Even near the end, when we had to finally settle down, he was still pulling that kind of crap. I'd come home from school sometimes and the police would be at the door because the entire block had called in a noise complaint. He said it was because he was hard of hearing, but I know he did it just to get the rise out of the old grouches who lived nearby. I think that was his worst fear, ending up just another bitter sack of bones. So he did everything in his power to be the exact opposite right up until the end. Of course, that meant I would always deal with the fallout. I can't imagine what the neighbors thought, seeing a little girl go door to door apologizing because some old man decided it would be funny to put plastic flamingos all over their award-winning lawns. I can't help but smile, just a little, even if it does hurt. I take a sip of my coffee. Outside, a heat haze shimmers over the never-ending oceans of sand. So much desert. Even Roswell was just rock, sand, and a few shacks. All alien-themed, of course. Didn't see any UFOs, though. I'm not used to how dry everything is. Even with the AC on high enough to rip off my eyebrows, I'm still all sweaty. Guess that's what happens when you laze around in snowy Colorado for a decade. In that regard, the desert is a nice change of scenery. I don't exactly hate it. New sights are nice, especially since his health didn't allow him to do a lot of traveling when I was a little girl. I could see myself getting used to it. Well, maybe in another 15 years when I have everything paid off. Damn it. Amber, snap out of it. You can worry about that later. This isn't your trip, so stop being so selfish. I push the eject button. I take the tape out and look it over. Probably for the 20th time today. Years worth of brown stains and greasy fingerprints are smudged all over, making it feel grimy to the touch. It still works like a charm, though. There are more cassettes in the glove compartment, a mixture of mine and his. Mostly his. I should just play one of those and get it over with. My hand gravitates towards the latch. It would be okay, right? No. I snatch my hand away from the latch and flip the tape over. Once again, I find myself staring. With a sigh, I stick it back into the deck. I reach towards the play button, taking another look to see if the road is still clear. Like always, it... Uh-huh. The Doppler effect for you. Is it? I slam on the brakes, their shriek piercing my skull. A glance at my rearview mirror shows a girl... Oh, oops. Cringing next to an ancient-looking car, covering her ears as I screech down the road. Making a U-turn of dubious legality, I pull up in front of her car, killing the motorhome's engine. I hop out and shield my eyes from the blazing New Mexico sun. Only now do I realize how precious the AC really is. It doesn't take more than several steps before the girl comes bouncing up to me with a look of relief.
Oh my god, thank you, thank you, thank you! I was starting to think no one would ever stop.
With each word, she gets a little closer until we're within touching distance of each other, her smiling face now filling my entire field of vision. Her bright auburn hair is done with a girlish side tail, glistening beneath specks of sweat. Standing out in the heat has made her round, pale cheeks sun-kissed red, but she still looks put together, like the desert would sooner melt her than do any real damage to her looks. I almost feel embarrassed to be in front of someone who dresses so cutely, her frilly green top and skirt putting my red t-shirt and khakis to shame. It's all brought together by one thing, though. Her eyes. They're blue, vividly blue, deep and rich, complementing the traces of her misty perfume as she gets closer and closer. Too close, too close, too close. I scramble back and cough, trying to hide any awkwardness.
No problem.
No problem. What's she doing out here alone? Driving through? Hell, is she even alone? I peer off into the plains of the sides of the road, half expecting a guy to pop up from his hiding place now that some idiot has fallen for her trap. That idiot being me, of course. But much to my surprise, no one does. Instead, the girl continues to stare at me, smiling as she patiently waits for my response. I glance behind her, focusing on her car.
So what's the issue? Your car breakdown?
I think so, yeah. I was driving and I just kind of...
Stopped.
Yeah.
She lowers her head in shame, eyes fixated on her feet, kicking the dust around her.
I'm not much of a car buff, but I can take a look at it.
Her head pops back up and life returns to her eyes.
Oh, wow! Could you?
Yeah. Can't promise that I can do anything, but I can at least check it out.
That'd be great!
Alright, first things first then.
This looks even older than my motorhome. It was probably a nice car once upon a time, but with a dented grille, multiple scratches, and faded murky green color, it's hard to believe such a cute girl was driving it. I slide into the fabric seat and start the ignition. I don't know too much about how this stuff works, just enough to keep the motorhome from giving out, but I can't imagine it's too significant of an issue. Probably just a dead battery, or... No gas. A single car passes by, cooling us with a refreshing gust of wind, sprinkled with dirt and sand.
Is something wrong?
Is this a joke?
Oh no, did I break it?
No, it's just out of gas.
What? No way! Dad said I should have filled up before I left.
Is she for real? Why is this girl in the middle of nowhere by herself? As if trying to force all the ideas into the center of her brain, the girl grabs her head and whines under her breath.
Ah, man, and I didn't charge my phone either. What am I gonna do?
I'd offer her mine, but I never had a cell phone in my life. Seems like you'd have to be pretty absent-minded to forget that, though. She whines once more and turns to me.
Hey, this might seem a little weird,
Oh no.
but could you take me somewhere nearby so I can get some gas?
And what do you know? She actually did it.
How long did you say you've been stuck out here?
I don't know. A few hours, maybe? I've been trying to wave down everyone who drives by, but you were the first to stop.
Hold on, everyone?
Yep.
This heat must have fried her brain. Does she have any idea how dangerous that is?
That's probably not a good idea, you know.
She cocks her head to the side and gives me a look of genuine curiosity. Like it wasn't obvious or something.
Huh? Why?
Well, you know.
Serial killers. You know, just an idea.
A cute young girl alone in the middle of the desert? It's just asking for trouble.
But you're a cute young girl alone in the middle of a desert.
What?
Her comeback takes me off guard and I turn away a little, avoiding eye contact.
Yeah, but that's different.
A smile returns to her face, the same bright one that she showed me when I first pulled over. I'm still avoiding eye contact, but she leans over to the direction I'm looking and continues to smile.
So, do you think you can give me a ride?
I don't know.
Please! It shouldn't take very long.
You could also be a serial killer. This girl, it's like she didn't even listen to what I said. Still better me than some psycho. How do you know you're not a psycho? Besides, it's not like the small detour will make me late or anything.
I guess it's fine. I'm not in too big of a rush anyway.
Before I'm even finished, she's springing off the ground, bouncing to the motorhome.
Hey, wait!
It's already far too late, as she somehow made her way into the motorhome before its owner, even finding the time to give me a small wave from the passenger seat. I heave a heavy sigh, rubbing my temple as I climb back into the driver's seat. The key is still dangling in the ignition. I wrench it around and the motorhome roars to life, forcing a surprised squeak out of the girl.
By the way, my name is Marina. Thank you so much for helping me out.
Amber, don't mention it.
Careful not to hit her car, I back the RV up and turn it around, sending us in my original direction. I reach for the play button on the cassette player, finally giving in to temptation, but Marina starts up again.
Why aren't we going the other way? Wasn't there a station a little ways back?
It was more than a little ways back. I saw a sign a few miles ago that said there was a station not too far from here, so we're going there.
Oh wow, I didn't even see that. You're really observant.
Oh, yeah, or you're just really oblivious.
Not really.
Silence falls between us, the roaring of the engine and swishing of the wind from outside being the only sounds. I take that as my cue and reach for the cassette player once more, finally giving...
How do you even drive this thing? It's huge!
Marina spreads her arms out like an eagle unfurling its wings, almost bopping me in the head in the process. I clear my throat and grab her arm out of the air, gently placing it on her lap.
It's not that bad. You get used to it.
She tilts her head to the side and gives a light grunt as if saying, "That's so," and we return to the silence of before. Again, I reach for the cassette player.
So what are you doing out here? Are you going camping? Seems like what you're doing is fun.
I take a deep breath and hold it on as long as possible before letting it out.
Just traveling. What about you? Why are you out here?
Oh, well, it's kinda silly.
She scratches her head and lets out an embarrassed laugh before staring at her feet. She quiets down and surprisingly stays quiet. Well, looks like that worked. I reach for the cassette player one last time. I stop for a moment to look at the glove compartment and then Marina, who looks lost in thought. Finally, I press play. A pleasant little chime greets me as I enter the station, Marina trailing closely behind. The drive was quiet after I turned the music on. Turning the tables on her and asking what she was doing out there seemed to throw her off. I didn't mean to come off as cold as I did. It's just been ages since I've had a conversation beyond accepting half-hearted condolences. Though, to be fair, I haven't really wanted to hold one. The guy behind the counter is busy ringing someone up, so I set out in search of a gas can. The store is one of those big mini-mart places made specifically for travelers. It's surprisingly clean for a place surrounded by sand. Every corner has an unnatural sanitary shine, accompanied by the scent of citrus cleaning product.
Hey, they have cola flavor here!
Oh, cola flavor! I turn and find Marina clutching the slushie machine, her eyes widening like a cat's when tempted with yarn.
Don't most gas stations have it?
She shakes her head but doesn't take her eyes off the machine.
All the places back home only had cherry and raspberry. When we got sick of them, we just had to mix them together.
It's really weird because usually it's cola and cherry.
But
Marina finally turns to me, wearing a face of pure, concentrated sadness.
I left my wallet in the car.
How convenient! It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. Just looking at her, I could feel my heart Wait a second.
How were you expecting to pay for the gas?
I don't know. I just remembered.
How did she last 5 minutes out in the desert?
Fine, I guess I'll pay for it.
Really?
Yeah. And grab yourself one of those slushies too.
You're very nice.
But make it a small one.
Her pure, concentrated sadness melts into pure, concentrated happiness.
You're the best, Amber.
Marina's thoughts updated. Check this item out in the gallery. She grabs a cup and holds down the button until the slushie overflows and drips down the side. I was going to pay for gas anyway, but I'm hoping the drink makes up for the drive over. I spot the gas cans and with Marina happily sipping her drink, grab one and head for the counter. The guy at the register is still ringing up the same girl. Lines of flimsy plastic bags line the counter, filled with a mixture of off-brand junk food and gardening tools. He scans the items as the girl digs through her wallet, her bandana-wrapped head pressing a phone against her shoulder.
Aren't you supposed to be the badass mechanic? What good are you if you're not?
She swipes out a card and hands it to the cashier, more interested in staring at her nails than looking at him.
How the hell would I know? Have the squirt check underneath if you're so curious.
On the other end of the line, I can hear the faintest of squabbling. I can't make out anything they're saying, but the tone sounds worlds more tolerable than the girl's.
If it's that old, then I say do it. Cash is cash. It's not like anyone's gonna care. You better not take as long as last time, though. I'll be waiting for you slackers outside.
The girl slips her phone back into the crevices of her dangerously unzipped jumpsuit. What little clothing she has on underneath looks like it's going to burst from the slightest movement. Not my type, especially with that personality, but it's hard for me to do anything other than stare. The attendant reaches out to help with the bags, but the girl snaps them away before he can. She shoots him with a heated glare that burns straight through the man and into the wall behind him. Turning around, the girl looks at us for a second before rolling her eyes, then marches out the door, the bags weighing her down as they nearly scrape the ground. Yeah, definitely not my type.
Good luck.
Marina has set the can and nearly empty slushie on the counter.
Will that be all?
Yeah, sorry for more boring than that other girl.
The attendant hacks out a dry cackle and scans the gas can. He flicks his oily ponytail behind his shoulder, then winks at Marina's drink.
Been a lot of folks passing through and stocking up the past few days. It's been a good change of pace. I'm guessing that's why you girls are here too.
Marina eases in towards the counter, nudging herself tightly between me and a rack, her hands creeping over the slushie.
For what? I'm just heading out to California.
If I don't end up driving myself insane first.
You mean you don't know?
The attendant freezes, forgetting about the scanner in his hand. A blinding red light beams from it into my chest.
About what?
Why, the treasure.
Marina's hand stops, just shy of grabbing the cup.
Treasure?
The clerk's chubby face morphs into a grin.
You telling me that you girls haven't heard of the treasure in the journal?
I have.
I frown. Embarrassed, Marina looks at the floor again, her cheeks flushing red. I guess she's always just this forward.
Oh, well, I heard about it on the news. It's kind of why I drove down here.
You drove out into the middle of the desert for treasure? Sorry, but you've lost me.
Not just any treasure, Missy. The miner's treasure.
Ooh. He says it like that should clarify what he meant. I stare at him. He stares back. Marina sips the last dregs of her slushie.
You honestly don't know.
Not a clue. Are you gonna change that?
A little feisty, ain't you?
Not really. Just have stuff to do.
Fair enough. A little while back, some folks were going through all the trash in their garage. As fate would have it, they came across an old journal. Turns out the thing belonged to their great uncle. Or maybe it was their great grandfather. I don't know. Some dead old man.
I cut him off with a cough. A polite hint for him to either get on with it or quit his yammering. Despite apparently knowing all this, Marina continues to stay focused with the rapt attention. Sometimes her drink makes that annoying slurping sound again.
Sorry. I'll try keeping it short. Anyway, after flipping through it, they found out that he'd struck it rich during the gold rush.
If he struck it rich, then wouldn't the family know about it? They'd have to be pretty well off, right?
Oh, I can answer that. He went back home to Missouri without any gold and told all his friends he hid it.
By now, the slushie is all gone. Marina tries for one last sip, but all that's sucked through the straw is air. She peers down into the cup and blows out a small sigh.
No one believed him, though.
I raise an eyebrow. If even this girl knows about it, then I must be more out of the loop than I thought.
Well now, looks like Sister here has been doing her research.
The attendant leans into the counter and smirks.
Story goes, he wanted to eventually move his family out west and dig his gold back up along the way, but kicked it before he could.
He slides his thumb along his neck and makes a cheesy sound effect to go with it. Marina giggles, but I just keep staring.
The folks that found the journal ended up selling it to some hotshot publishing house. Now everyone wants to retrace his steps and find the treasure. Shipments have been selling like hotcakes. Just got ours last week.
He points to a rack of identical books sitting by the door. A sign hanging above it reads, "Treasure of the Desert, a Miner's Journey. Take part in the new gold rush." Yeah, that'll stick in people's heads.
And people are really buying into this?
Sure are. I've worked here for over 20 years, and never have I seen this many people passing through. Even the Banshee before you was here for some supplies and a journal.
Sure, okay. This is a hoax if I've ever seen one.
And where is this supposed treasure?
No one knows. It's all scattered around the desert. They say the journal has hints to its whereabouts.
Uh-huh. Marina, you said this is why you drove out here.
Yep, that's right.
But you don't really believe the treasure exists, do you?
Sure I do.
She pauses to think.
At least, I want to. But wouldn't it be super cool if there was treasure?
Sure, it would be cool. But there's a good chance there isn't. And even if there were, do you know where to start looking?
No, not really. I never got that far. I don't even have a copy of the journal.
She lowers her head, like she knows there's a good chance what I'm saying is true.
But I have to try.
Her voice is soft and quiet, but there's a faint glow of determination behind it. It makes me feel ashamed for scolding, but the idea that she dropped everything for treasure is insane. To her credit, she did a little research, but that's canceled out by driving into the desert without a full tank of gas. She wasn't prepared at all. The people who care about her must be worried sick. I barely even know her, and I'm worried.
Aw, don't be too hard on her, Missy. After all, who could resist a good treasure hunt?
In the desert? Listen. Yeah, I'm not. No. He looks to Marina and gives a big gummy grin, courtesy of his missing teeth.
Ain't that right, sister?
Marina springs back with a smile of her own.
That's right!
Rolling my eyes, I reach into my pocket and pass some crumpled bills to the clerk.
Yeah, well, I'll believe it when I see it.
He shrugs and stuffs the cash in the register. Though I'm just paying for the tank and an empty cup, I pocket the change. I give a casual wave from the exit. That should be good enough, thank you. Marina follows, though a bit more animated, waving her arm like a fan as she says goodbye.
Oh, and sister?
Yeah?
You go ahead and take one of them journals. Free of charge.
Really?
Marina lights up like a firecracker and bounces up and down like she's a kid again.
Yup.
Oh, wow! Thanks, mister!
In one swift motion, she swipes one of the remaining books off the rack so fast that I swear my eyes are skipping frames.
Hey, Amber! Look! He gave me one for free.
Yeah, I see it.
I tune out her chattering and nod as we walk out to the parking lot so we can finally get the fuel. The attendant shouts one last thing, his voice fading from the glass of the closing door.
Good luck on your trip.
Desert people are weird.
No way.
Maybe it's further up the road?
I can't believe it. It's gone.
We could have just passed it.
We weren't even away that long. How can it be gone?
We stare at the empty space that once housed a certain ugly green car. I look in every conceivable direction, but there's nothing. Nothing but an ocean of sand and a never-ending stretch of road. Was it towed? No, not out here. Not this quick.
Where the hell did it go?
Yeah, that is kind of weird, isn't it?
Are you a ghost? Is your car a ghost car? Marina's hand rests against her cheek as she looks on with only mild confusion, like she's trying to solve a small mystery.
Your car is missing!
That's more than a little weird.
Well, it's actually my big brother's car. He just lent it to me when he left for college.
Oh, well that makes everything better then.
Really?
No!
I let out a heavy sigh and pressed my fingers to my temple, attempting to massage away the stress and irritation.
It was probably stolen. We'll need to call the police. You have a phone, right?
I do,
That is
but...
in the car. Her voice trails off a cliff. What she said earlier echoes in my head,
That's right. You said it was dead.
and probably in the car.
And I'm guessing you left it in your car.
Yeah.
Well, that's just great.
Don't you have one?
Nope, never needed one.
Afraid no one would call you?
That's very
Not
real.
quite.
I shield my eyes and look up at the dry sky. Its color has shifted to a glowing orange as sunset begins to settle over the distant valley peaks. It's going to get dark soon.
Don't worry, Amber. I would call you.
I can't just leave her. Even if she did have her phone, it would take forever before anyone could get out here. She'd go from burning up in the heat or freezing out in the cold within a few hours. Plus, there are people around who would steal cars, then there's no telling who else is out here. I can already see how all this would go down. She would be huddled on the side of the road, trying to keep warm. A pack of coyotes would be howling all around her, closing in. Then from down the road, a starved creep would pull up in a trashy old pickup truck, open his door for her, and... oh God.
Hey, where are you from? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, I'm from Carlsbad.
She pauses for a moment.
Or at least kind of close to it. It's a little out of the way.
Carlsbad? You're from California?
No, silly! Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Oh, right.
Had me going there for a second.
How far is that?
Maybe 2 hours from here?
I feel like she's not the reliable source here, considering that she has no sense of distance or time.
Wow, you didn't get very far at all, did you?
Marina lowers her head in shame.
I never really seem to.
Though I'm not really one to talk. I've been on the road less than a day. Would have gotten further if traffic on the I-40 wasn't such a pain in the butt. Or if I didn't pick up Marina.
Hey, listen. You don't live too far away. If you want, I can probably give you a lift back home.
I prep myself for an explosion of thankful energy and excitement. But there isn't one. Instead, she continues to stare at the ground, her hands now balled up in a fist as she fidgets ever so slightly.
Something wrong?
She shifts her gaze from the ground and looks me straight in the eyes, drawing a deep, long breath.
Remember the treasure we were talking about at the store?
Yeah.
I know it's a lot to ask, and you've already helped me out so much already. But do you think you could take me to the first place the treasure is?
Huh?
She wants to keep going, even after this entire disaster?
The treasure! Could you take me to the first?
I heard you the first time. It's just... You don't even know if this thing is real, but you've dropped everything to go look for it. And now you're asking me, someone you've just met out in the middle of the desert, to take you to it. Even though you don't know if it's real and you've just had your car stolen. Did I catch all that?
Uh-huh.
Shameless. I'm at a loss for words. How do I even respond to that? I try to recollect my thoughts, but only one word comes to mind.
Why?
Marina shrugs. Nothing more than that. She just shrugs. I take a look at her. A good look. Her wavy hair has been dried out by the hot desert air. Her face is red and drenched in sweat, probably close to melting off her makeup. Even her nice clothes are a little ruffled. But despite all that, this cute, peppy girl wants to keep pressing on. Even when most people would just call it quits after the car broke down. Even out here all by herself. For all I know, she could be some weirdo out to mug me. And this is all some elaborate scheme. But she wants my help. My help. It's been a while since anyone has needed that. It's like an honor. Do I deserve that? Probably not. But she's still asking, why should I say no? I don't have to be in California for another few weeks. And isn't that why I'm taking this trip? To see the sights? For him? She's a little excitable and even more naive, but maybe I need a little bit of that. It's a lot better than just being out here all by myself with nothing but the ghost of my memories to keep me company. Even if it's just for a little while.
Why the hell not? Hop in.
For real?
Yeah, for real. But only until the first location. After that...
The breath is forced out of me by a sharp impact of Marina tackling my stomach. A warm but damp sensation wraps itself tightly around me. A dead weight snuggles up against my chest.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you!
What are you doing?
I'm hugging you, silly.
My cheeks grow warmer with each passing second. I try to wiggle my way out, but she stays latched on, her grip getting tighter and tighter.
Marina, please. You're all sweaty.
Sorry. I'm just super happy.
She unlatches herself, letting me clear my throat and recollect myself.
Anyway, let's get inside. I'm burning up out here.
We clamber back inside the motorhome, leaving the dry hellishness behind. I turn the ignition and let the AC blast away the RV's stuffiness. Letting out breaths of sweet relief, Marina and I collapse back into our seats.
Alright, so where's the first piece of the treasure?
How about you find, like, a place to hook up for the night? Okay. Pause. Rewind. A place to hook up your RV to get electricity and water for the night. Not for you two to hook up, even though I'm pretty sure that's, like, the ultimate goal. I mean, I think that's more important than treasure, because, yeah.
Well...
Oh, you sweet summer child.
You have no idea, do you?
That's not true! The news said a part of it was somewhere here in New Mexico. Probably.
I'm not surprised at all. Should have seen this coming.
You have the journal?
Yeah?
She hands the cheap paper back to me. The cover feels like it could fall apart at the turn of a page. The whole thing is fitting of its rustic design. I slide my thumb across the edges and flip through the pages. Thick forewords and passages commenting on the journal's historical significance skip past my eyes, most long enough to be their own book. Finally, a photocopied picture of one of the original entries appears, preserving the faded cursive lettering. The entire thing printed on the next page over. Crusting brown stains and wrinkles engrave the photo. Some of the writing has been scratched out too, like someone made mistakes and couldn't erase them. I hate to admit it, but for something that's probably a sham, this looks pretty authentic. With bounty and satisfaction in hand, I am now homeward bound, the perilous journey forthcoming. Through my unrivaled intellect and unmatched ambition, I have succeeded in accomplishing what many believed would no longer prove profitable. Of course, this only comes as a surprise to those around me, not myself. I had traveled this way on the trail with many others from the Missouri Territory, but as my typical characteristic success grew, I could sense the envious stares amongst my so-called peers. The danger inevitably became so great that I wished to flee, but my companions left before I woke. For that reason. For what reason, you may ask? I do not know. It is with this in mind that I have taken it upon myself to leave a note for one of my fellow prospectors, and to borrow his steed, so that I may one day return to settle with my family. But if this journey has taught me anything thus far... Oh, yeah, I'm not reading all this crap. Where should I actually start? Let's see. If he left California, lived in Missouri, and supposedly hid something in New Mexico, like Marina said, then what we're looking for is likely a later entry.
Ah, here we are.
Alas, I have reached the final point of division in my travels. During my stay among the ruined sanctuary, the rogue native Lamasi had informed me of a landmark that was rich in the mythos of his people. Considered sacred, he said that the chance of the gold being discovered would be very slim. He referred to it as a winged rock, a monument erected toward the sky. After my previous detour, I have finally arrived. It is with much disbelief, I must say, my friend Lamasi was right. It is not just a monument erected towards the sky, it is a mountain. Almost as if the Lord himself had struck up the earth among the sand. It is guarded by trails of rocks and around it, all branching from the mother rock. On this journey I have encountered many different sights, dangers, and yes, even the occasional friend. As I look upon the mountain before me, I am reminded once more that there are things bigger and greater than I. Although I am not yet rid of this cough, my soul has been humbled and removed of fatigue. I can think of no better place to store the last of my gold, and I anxiously await the day I return.
What does it say?
The gist of it is that it's near a big rock and a bunch of little rocks.
That should narrow it down, right?
Not in New Mexico, darling.
Yeah, to the entire state of New Mexico.
Marina gasped and lunges toward the journal, the muscles in her neck tensed and eyes wide with panic.
That can't be the only thing he mentioned. There has to be more.
I raise the journal high above me so she can't reach it, using my hand as a blockade against her head as she desperately tries to grasp for it.
Sheesh, relax for a second. I actually have a pretty good idea of where it might be.
She settles down, still stiff with anxiety, nibbling on the tip of her thumb. I lower the book back down and read over the entry one more time just to make sure.
There's a part where he calls it a winged rock. Assuming my years of reading travel guides and brochures weren't totally useless, then I'm pretty sure that's a loose translation of what the Navajo used to call shiprock.
There's a ship out in the desert? Whoa!
I peer over the journal. Marina's imagination is going bonkers. Her eyes alight as she tries to wrap her head around such a novelty even existing.
How long have you lived in New Mexico?
Marina swells up with pride, only to deflate like a balloon before speaking instead of choosing to blow a misplaced strand of hair out of the way.
All my life.
I sigh and slam the journal shut.
It's a small mountain near the border of New Mexico and Utah that's vaguely shaped like a ship.
Oh, okay. That makes way more sense.
I'm surprised you haven't heard of it. Thing's a landmark.
Yeah. But hey, at least I know now.
Shrugging, I put away the journal and smirk. Misplaced as it might be, her cheeriness is a good mix-up from the norm.
Do you think the treasure might be there?
Don't know, but it's worth a shot. We don't have anything else to go on. Sure you don't want me to just take you home?
Marina hesitates for a moment, turning to the windshield as if to dodge the question with her eyes.
No, I think I want to do this.
Alright then.
I put the car in drive and look ahead. The sun has set, the blue shade of dusk rising up to take its place. I press down on the gas. Marina turns to me and smiles.
Let's hit the road.
The sun has long since set and given way to darkness. Only my headlights remain, illuminating the road and silhouetting the small rock formations around us. I've been alternating between the old tape and new ones, immediately throwing on the old tape after finishing a new one and vice versa. I haven't had any complaints from Marina. She's been sitting at my side the entire time, softly humming off-key to the music. She seems to be the type to just accept things as they are, like with her car being stolen or that treasure. Especially that treasure. And to make it worse, it's not just her. Apparently it's some phenomenon now. Goes to show how much I keep up with current events. But the whole thing smells like a scam. I bet somewhere all the big shots from the publishing house are gathered up in their corporate tower, laughing at idiots they've ripped off with that book. Christ, I'm even starting to sound like him. The music turns to static before the cassette is silenced by a loud click. I eject it and reach for his old tape again. Marina notices, taking the opportunity to break the long-held silence.
So, do you like music a lot?
Yeah, I guess.
I figured. You've been playing those tapes this entire time.
She picks up one of the tapes in the center console and inspects it, going as far as to poke her pinky through one of the holes.
Though, I'm not sure what you'd call this type of music.
Dad rock, probably.
Yeah, I've just been playing whatever. Mostly jazz fusion and alt country. Throw in some new age crap in there for good measure. Most of these are mixtapes I made when I was little.
Cool. Any names I'd recognize?
I have no frame of reference to answer that question. She peeks at me through the holes of the cassette, wearing a wide, genuine grit smile.
Probably not.
Aw, come on. Try me.
Why not? Maybe I'm not giving her enough credit.
You know, Gabriel, Gertu, Weather Report, Donovan, Metheny.
Marina gives sage-like nods and grunts of understanding as I list off the names.
You have no idea who any of them are, do you?
Not a clue.
That's what I thought.
Sorry. I usually listen to whatever's on the radio.
I crack a slight smile.
It's alright. I could see how it might be hard to get into. My gramps used to call it road trip music.
I still think it's nice, though. It's making you really happy.
You think so?
She taps her finger gently against my cheek. I pull away a little, but let her do it anyway.
Yeah, why else would you be smiling?
I've never really thought of whether it made me happy before, but I do know it made him happy, so that's good enough for me.
That's actually why I'm going to California. You know, for a music festival.
For real? Where?
Not far from Palm Springs.
Palm Springs? Like the actual Palm Springs?
Don't know if there are any other Palm Springs in California, but yeah, they do it every year for a few weekends.
I went to my first concert a little before I graduated.
She rests her head against the window and stares at the road ahead, her smile fading but still there.
It was so much fun. An entire weekend of that sounds super awesome.
Nah, it ain't that cool.
Marina flings her head away from the window and turns to me. Now she's staring at me like I'm crazy.
How could you even say that? It's the coolest thing ever! I wouldn't even be able to wait. I'd want to see all the bands.
Sheesh, relax. It's not like I'm taking it for granted. It's just that there's only one group I know I want to see so far.
That's right, his favorite group.
Just one?
He was so excited when he got the tickets.
Just one that I'm excited for. I'll watch a bunch, though.
Releasing a long sigh, Marina eases back into her seat.
Oh, good. I was afraid you were going to head home after you saw your group.
You crazy? I'd like to at least have a little fun before worrying about all the expenses I gotta deal with.
Expenses?
Damn it.
It's nothing.
She gasped.
Are you in debt? Is it college loans? My brother said those aren't fun to deal with at all.
Got too comfortable. Should have just kept my trap shut.
Or did you just spend too much on your
Without warning, I swerve off to the side of the road and on the rocky sand, cutting Marina off and nearly giving her a heart attack. Marina shoots me a worried glance, her face still pale.
Oh my god! What was that? Are you okay?
I pinch the bridge of my nose and my elbows on the wheel.
Amber?
I've been driving all day. I'm a little tired.
Where are we?
A little outside Albuquerque, so we aren't too far now. We'll sleep here tonight and drive to Shiprock first thing in the morning.
Killing the ignition, I climb out of my seat and into the living quarters. Marina trails behind me. I yank open the bathroom's Velcro latch cupboards. Inside is a folded stack with a blanket, sheet, pillow, and my old gym clothes from school. I scoop them up and toss them to Marina. She scrambles to catch it, desperately balancing them as they lean out her arms.
Sorry about the clothes. I don't have any actual pajamas. You can sleep on the couch. It folds out into a bed.
Oh, okay.
Alright then, see you in the morning.
With that, I step into the back room and slam the sliding door before collapsing onto the oversized bed. Even in the darkness, I can make out the pictures hanging on the wall. Once upon a time, they were generic scenic pieces. Now they're photos. Photos of me and Gramps. My favorite is the one of us in front of a museum for music. Rock and roll, to be specific. I was just a little pipsqueak back then, holding up an autographed vinyl sleeve that was about the size of my head. He was by my side, squatting down and ruffling my hair as I gave the biggest smile I could, even with my missing teeth. I let out a sigh and fixate on the ceiling skylight, a small sliver of moonlight shining through. It feels like an eternity since I had last laid on this bed. I remember it felt like being hugged by a cloud. Now it feels like concrete. Tiny creaks sound from the room next door, accompanied by Marina's little squeaks of determination as she struggles with the fold-out bed. until finally I hear a loud thud. I can't help but smirk a little. I should have warned her that it was heavy. The room over goes silent. I hope it didn't crush her. Luckily, I soon hear footsteps tiptoeing across the carpet, then on the bathroom tile. They stop outside my door.
Hey, are you awake?
The voice is weak, barely above a whisper. It's almost impossible to hear as it's muffled through the door.
I know I've said it a lot already, but I really mean it. Thanks, Amber. Good night.
I continue to stay silent in the dark. The ceiling looks like it's constantly changing in size and dimension, sometimes getting bigger and further away, other times getting closer and smaller. I look down. Through the crack under the door, I see her shadow turning around to leave. The words slip out of my mouth before she can even take her first step.
Night, kiddo.
Thank you for joining me for episode 1 of Highway Blossoms by Studio Elon. Chapter 2 will be out shortly. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment letting me know what you like down below. Please no hate or spoilers, as I'm not above removing those comments and the people who make them. That's all for now, folks, and I'll see you next time.
Quiet. What are you doing down there? That's my headset. Hey, you're... How? Every time. How do you get tangled in my headset cord?